Hello and welcome back to Cosmedent's Tip of the Month. I'm Dr. Dennis Hartlieb, and today we're going to be talking about the Class 4 composite restoration. This patient is undergoing orthodontics to position the teeth at the gingival margin so the gingival margin levels are level, thereby creating a discrepancy in the incisal edge position. The teeth are aggressively pumice to remove the pellicle and any plaque and staining. We're going to be doing some beveling with a fine diamond burr by Brasseler to create a little space to make it easier for a transition from our composite from the tooth to the full composite restoration on the incisal edge. Because of the position of the teeth, there's sort of this natural space created that there's very little beveling necessary. We go in with another burr from Brasseler. This is one of their micro burrs to create a chamfer on the lingual to create a little bit of thickness to the restoration. We're going to etch the teeth. I'm going to start out etching the unprepared enamel first, and then etch the prepared tooth structure. After 15 seconds, the etchant is removed, tooth is left moist, and then a 5th generation adhesive like Cosmedent Complete 5th generation adhesive is used, and light cured for 20 seconds. Because these teeth have a lot of translucency in the incisal third, I'm actually going to be starting using an incisal composite, or the incisal translucent composite. We're using the nano composite here because we need it for the strength. I'm going to layer some of the incisal composite on the lingual of the teeth, and I'm also playing some into the polyvinyl silicone matrix. This is Template by Clinician's Choice. So I have the Renamel nano material both on the stent and on the tooth to be certain that I don't have a gap left after I polymerize the composite. I'm blending the two composites together using first the Cosmedent's multi-purpose instrument and then Cosmedent's IPC. I'm going to blend this onto the tooth structure to make sure it's a very smooth margin from the composite to the tooth. I light cure each application of composite for 10 seconds. Here I'm placing an opaquer to create the dentin lobes, and that is also cured for 10 seconds. I want to create more color to the tooth, so I'm using the light brown Creative Colors by Cosmedent, and that's also cured for 10 seconds. To create a lot of translucency now, I'm going to be using the Cosmedent Renamel Microfill Incisal Light. I'm going to use this as a first layer, and I'm using the IPC instrument to be able to blend the composite onto the tooth structure and into the Renamel Nano. What makes these IPC instruments so terrific is that you can use the IPCs to cleave off the excess composite. You almost use it like a blade to cut off the excess composite, and then use it like a brush to smooth the composite down. That microfill is cured for 10 seconds. Now I'm going to overlay that composite, that microfill, with the Renamel Microfill D2, so the body shade that we're using for matching the tooth color. I start out in a ball, and I'm going to spread the composite over the entire tooth surface. So using brush-like strokes, I'm going to blend the composite interproximally, using again the IPC instrument, and then I can cleave off the excess composite as I work interproximally and around the line angles. Along the gingival extent, again using the IPC to blend the composite onto the tooth structure, cleaving off the excess composite. Then using brush-like strokes, I want to blend the composite over the incisal edge to be certain that the incisal is fully covered by this D2 microfill. If you like using a brush for your sculpting, then the Brush and Sculpt from Cosmedent is a nice material to put on your brush to be able to blend the composite onto the tooth structure. So this is a number 3 Cosmedent brush with the Brush and Sculpt to get it nice and smooth. So going back and using the IPC instrument to create a smooth surface on that final microfill layer. And then this is the most critical step. You want to create as smooth of a microfill layer as you can, which will enhance your contouring and polishing efforts. I'll do a final cure for 60 seconds of that microfill surface. So now I'm going to polish the distal of the central incisor, first with the diamond strip and then going into the flexi strips to get an extra smooth polished surface on the distal of the central. So then I can layer my final layer of the microfill onto the lateral incisor so that I can blend that right onto the distal of the central incisor and not have to worry about those two layers bonding together. So this is a look at the central and the lateral with the final layers complete. After final curing then, I start out with an ET burr from Brasseler to start the initial contouring, and then with an OS1 burr on the lingual to get the initial contouring. To make sure that the length is correct, I have the patient stand up and I adjust the length with the patient standing in front of me. I've highlighted the line angles and the height of contours using a pencil, and then I'm using, this is a 7901 burr from Brasseler, and then using my small blue disc, the medium coarse disc from the flexi disc system to create the proper contours, then following with the yellow disc, the fine disc from the flexi disc system to start to create a higher polish, and then finishing with the pink or the rose superfine disc, again from the Cosmedent flexi disc system. For the final polish, I use the Enamelize from Cosmedent with their Flexi Buff, which is sort of like a chamois wheel, which will give us the optimal polish. So with nice pressure on that aluminum oxide polishing paste, we should be able to get a polish on the composite that mimics the natural enamel and gives the same surface reflectance as we see with the natural teeth. Well, thank you for joining us today for our tip of the month, Class 4 techniques with Cosmedent, utilizing the Cosmedent Renamel Nano, the opaquer system.